Shabbat Shalom. I must admit that it feels good to sort of be back in the normal swing of things. Not that I don't love my summer months, which are way shorter down here in Georgia than up north. But there is something that sort of, in the summer, makes our days a little bit more complicated, interfering with our normal schedules. And it also now means that I actually get to enjoy my normal day off routine, which I must admit does not consist of golfing, but does consist of binge watching way too much Netflix. By the way, I'm currently hooked on the show The Sandman. If you have any recommendations, you can find me in Kiddush and give me your ideas. And so this past Monday, I was feeling especially lazy and just wanted to really veg on the couch. And every time that I would get up to refill my water, I would walk past our sink, which had developed a small tower of dishes. And when I saw them, I continued to walk past them. But then finally, maybe on my fourth or fifth refill, I said to myself, why am I leaving these things here? And so I went to put them in the dishwasher, and yet I had to realize that my dishwasher was actually clean. So I was going to have to empty them to just put in the dirty dishes. And while my Netflix drama was pulling me to just go back and sit down, I decided, all right, I'll unload it and then I'll reload it with that pile of dishes that are in the sink. Now, let me be perfectly honest. I know that this is not some massive accomplishment. As a matter of fact, it is something that April and I both do all the time. But when April got home from her day, she was so appreciative that I had done it. And I should add that April tells me, don't you do anything around the house on your day off, because it is your day of rest. Well, besides Shabbat. But she says to me, don't do anything. And then she just looked at me and said, thank you. And you are the best. These types of small actions are actually highlighted in this week's Parsha. And it comes to us in our very first verse, where it says, Eikev tishma'on et hamishpatim ha'ela mushmartem v'asitim otam v'shamar Adonai Elohecha lecha v'aya et habrit v'et chesed asher nishba lavotecha. And if you obey these rules, and if you observe them carefully, your God will maintain fully for you the covenant that he made an oath with you and your fathers. So while this seems relatively straightforward to us, the commentators come to ask perhaps maybe a question that we all should have thought about. What rules is the Torah specifically talking about? This is the very beginning of this week's Parsha, so there's nothing really right before it if you're reading it separately. What rules is it talking about? We could look at last week's Parsha to try and determine, but there's still some distance between those verses that we might not really know what laws we are talking about. So, of course, as we always do, we look to Rashi, and Rashi steps in and comments and says, even the lighter commandments to which a person usually treads on with his heels, playing on Eikev, Yaakov heel, if we remember from grabbing the heel, right? Meaning that a person tends to view them as lighter commands. even those people will hearken to. So I do find this interesting, because what we could have thought was that maybe for such a major commandment and covenant that we made with God, that it would be those big ones that Rabbi Dorsch referenced last week, those 10 utterances. We might have thought it was following those that allowed us to have this covenant. But yet, what Rashi is coming to say is, no, we're talking about the little ones, those little actions, the ones that we might view as small or insignificant. But still, in studying this verse and studying the comment, I can't help but wonder, what are the lighter commandments? What are the mitzvot that are truly light? And I have to ask you all, what do you all think? Now, that's not a rhetorical question. That is a real one. So, what are those commandments that we might say are our light mitzvot? Perhaps the ones that are usually easy for us to trample on with our heels, as Rashi says. What might that be? Yes. Kindness. Great. Smiling at a stranger. Somebody just told me I should smile more because I have a nice smile. Thank you. But right, smiling. Little things. Great. At a stranger for sure. Yes. Gratitude.
Because this will be connecting us to all the 100 mitzvahs. You will find gratitude for everything. You can see, you can smell everything.
Right. Gratitude. Amazing. One of the most important things that we have that maybe sometimes we just take for granted. Right? That might be another way for us to examine what it means to be an easy or light mitzvah. Something that we just think that we should do or that we can do so easily, but sometimes we don't. Yes?
Maybe a little controversial and say, who or who? Do people make choices?
Yeah. Yes, April, go ahead. Since you're in the sermon, you get to say something. Forgiveness. It's a good one. Yeah. Forgive me for stacking up the dishes. Actually, forgive me for not loading the dishwasher in the way that you like it loaded. But
I would think speaking respectfully to people, saying please and thank you, and just being a mensch.
being a mensch and being very southern with your nice please and thank you, yes ma'am, yes sir, all that. Yeah. Yes.
The wonder of the garden's produce.
Huh? You can.
The wonder of the garden's produce and products.
Yes.
Do your best.
Do your best. I like that. Right?
See the sick.
Feed, visit the sick. Yes. Caring. Right? These are all things that really, I think, make up what we need in our world. Right? Yet they're the easy things that we can come to forget. And so I think also, right, what I'm trying to express to you all is that in order for us to really understand what these types of mitzvot are, which are, again, supposed to be pathways in which we connect with Hashem, we can learn from all of our personal relationships. Right? You all were thinking about different examples from our personal relationships and how we interact with each other. Right? Similar to the one that I shared with the dishes sitting in my sink. And I think it's also, of course, that our loved ones and our children, they expect the grandiose gestures, those sort of following of the 10 Commandments or other examples. Right? We expect those a few times a year. It can be an anniversary. It can be a birthday. Or perhaps somebody getting a new job. That we expect to celebrate those times and those moments. But when it comes down to the real moments where we really show our commitment or love to someone, it is in the small things. that we do for them. And we might even view them as the easy or mundane things for us to do. Perhaps it's just filling up their car with gas when they are low, deciding to buy them their favorite wine just because. Or, as I said, emptying and loading the dishwasher on your day off. But the same goes for Judaism. Of course, we need to do the big gestures. The coming to shul on high holidays, which is right around the corner. Don't forget. Making sure that our house is cleaned for Pesach and fasting on Yom Kippur. But it is also the other mitzvot. The mitzvot that we might think are just so common and sometimes forget that we need to do. And that's what this parsha is coming to tell us. It's telling us we need to focus on the little things. We need to allow them to be a part of our lives. They themselves are the small gestures that we can make to Hashem to show our love and devotion to our divine Creator. And that same effort that we put into those smaller commandments, those smaller mitzvot, can serve as a blueprint for how we should interact with others in our lives. We each should strive to make those little actions to let somebody else know that we care. And what this week's parsha is coming to tell us is that the little things, they do matter. And as a matter of fact, the small details might be the most important things in our lives. And now I hope that in this coming week, we will do those small details, those small actions to show our love to God, but maybe even more importantly, to show our love to humanity and to one another. Shabbat Shalom.